Hello, friends. We have a great show for you guys today. My name's Wendy, and I'm really excited about this because we have on with us today a man who needs no introduction. He's our biggest influencer, Damien, and we've got Anton with us, and we have Cohen with us. So. What we're going to be talking about today is our latest app, Omniverse Code. It's an integrated development environment, IDE, specially designed for developers who want to build extensions, apps, and or microservices for Omniverse. The interface is super cool. It includes Kit SDK runtime, foundational tools, templates, documentation. It's designed by developers for developers. And before we get to introductions, as always, here's Edmar with the latest NVIDIA news. Edmar?
Thank you, Wendy. Yeah, this is super exciting. So Wendy played a great clip a few minutes ago of our year in review and looking forward for Omniverse. And that show, we touched on what was happening with code and which basically letting developers build on top of the platform. And I think I mentioned in that stream that I feel like last year was kind of the year of users and artists and creators creating cool stuff with the stuff that we've released, and also with partner apps. And this year, I think it's going to be the year of the developer. And Damien's going to kick this off in a few minutes. So along those lines, also I want to highlight that we have GTC coming up in March. So it's it's going to be super informative, lots of sessions. We're going to have our user group there. So please head on over to nvidia.com/GTC, register. It is free. It's all virtual this year. We have a lot of exciting things planned. So we want you to be part of it because that's why we do it. So sign up. And then I wanted to just take a quick note and to thank the people behind the scenes who are helping these live streams so much. Wendy, of course, a very humble person. She's been working very hard. Everyone can probably tell we have a nicer looking live stream. We're using new hardware, new software, and also the marketing team, Clear especially, has been a big help. And Vincent and a few others will be watching chat. So please post your questions as you're seeing as often as you like today. We're on Twitch and YouTube, so we'll be monitoring those channels. And just ask away. The whole purpose of today's live stream is to answer developer questions. So Damien does not mind if we interrupt him. He's told me, please interrupt me, stop me. So with that, yeah, I'll let you take it away, Damien. You want to introduce your team?
Yeah. Thank you so much for the introduction. Always very kind. So yeah, we're super excited to have everybody today. Hopefully many of you watching on the live stream, and then eventually asking questions as we present. I'm joined today with a new member of the Kit team, Cohen. I will give him a few minutes to introduce himself. That especially is joining us to help bolster the developer experience. So your best friends going forward, someone that you want to connect with and share your ideas with, because he'll be instrumental in helping us invest more and more in the developer tools. And then Anton, that you've seen with me in those streams many times, is also joining us. And sometimes when you have deep dive questions, he can help them answer. He's been instrumental into the extension system and some of the core of Kit. So we the plan for today, we build over time a lot of resources, right? We're trying to build video for GTCs and those things, is to go a bit of a recap. We go over some of these points. Many people join the stream. Sometimes they're new, sometimes they've seen a little bit, but not all of it. But especially we wanted these live sessions to be interactive. So please make sure that you ask questions. If you say, okay, these videos are great, I've seen them, but I really want to know about X, Y, and Z, that's your chance. That's the moment where we can deep dive into some of these topics. So after we've done some of the intro with some of the other team members, we'll go into that. But while they do that, start thinking about your questions. That's really how we want this session to go. So maybe you want to introduce yourself, Cohen, first, and then Anton, you can say hello.
Yeah, hello everyone. I'm Cohen. I just joined NVIDIA a few weeks ago actually, and was happy to land in Damien's team. I've been working for a long time in many visual effects and animation and game studios, and most of the time there my role included building tools on top of all the libraries that are there for the artists to make things easier to work with and to expose all the data. And many times I had many wishes about libraries that were available to me and tools I could use to develop these things. And now, luckily, with Omniverse, we have this broad code base that we can work with. And I'm looking through the eyes of that user of wanting to build tools based on top of this to add some of the things that I have ideas for that other people are asking for. So I really want the development to be a very happy and easy experience. And I'm helping Damien and the team to shape this new app that we have, Omniverse Code, to allow you to build on top of everything that we have in Kit and in Omniverse. So yeah, any questions, any problems you have with the current setup or things you think we could do better, I'd love to hear, and we'll try to incorporate them and just. It should be the barrier of entry to create something new. If you have a cool idea that leans on 3D data or a USD scene or a cool renderer, and you have an idea and you want to explore it, code should be your first place to go to, and it should just be easy to dive in. We want to make it so that you only write and you only build the stuff you need for your idea, and everything that you need around it. The scaffolding you should get from us, and it should be easy.
Great. And as always, thank you, Corin. That's great, and we're really happy to have you join us. As always, the forum, there's plenty of place. Even on Discord now, Code has its own channel, so Code app, and then just go there, ask questions. I'm having some conversations with some developers already, and it's really great. So remember that we have social platform where you can interact with developers directly, and we bring the right person. Anton, do you want to just say hello?
Hello, yeah. My name is Anton. I work on Omniverse from day one, focusing mostly on extensions, core systems, Python, and with code. Code was also kind of my focus, and also it's just released. We're hoping that we're only starting, and we want to make this year like a year of developers on Omniverse and really like push that thing forward.
Great. Well, good. That's great. So thank you both for the intro. Another note, like this is few of the teams. There's actually a lot of people building the platform and the tools that are going to show today. But we also continue to look for talents. There is a position into Koen's teams for developer tools. We're also looking for people in the core Kit SDK team. I've posted a bunch of posts on LinkedIn talking about our position in XR, in the UI systems, in all the automations that we're trying to put in place. Connect to me on LinkedIn. I'm not refusing any connections. Just say hello. I'll connect, and you'll see the post about code and the opportunity that we have in Kit. And certainly, if you are interested in the platform, in contributing from the inside, you can always reach out to me directly, via on Discord or on LinkedIn. And I'll always talk to everybody to see, what they can help and contribute to the platform.
We have a couple quick questions that came in while we were doing the intro. So let me throw these at you really quick. Both questions have to do with AR, VR. So can you just jump right into code and start developing?
Sure.
For VR and AR.
So we announced at GTC fall that we were bringing VR to the platform. We've obviously been working on VR and AR for a very long time. We had the holodeck, and we have a lot of investment and disclosure on VR. We are bringing VR to Kit SDK. There will actually be some applications in the near future where you can start experiencing VR review and experience inside leveraging Kit SDK. And of course, once you want to start building VR tools or VR applications, Code will be the place where there will be the tutorial. We will talk about 3D VR UI, 3D UI interactions, some of the things that you can do. So absolutely, the actual feature in the SDK will be published, in a couple of months. So you'll have it soon. So that's VR. Was there another question, Edmar?
That's good. You got both.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get started again. I'll take 10 minutes in a more sort of linear fashion to go over the sort of general, back to the intro. Again, I apologize for the returner, a visitor of our live streams and people that have followed us from the beginning. Just bear with us while we just do an overall introduction for many of the new people joining us every time we have this call. And so I just want to share some of the resource and then go back to the foundation of the platform, and then we'll do a little bit of live code review and just look at how it's structured, and by then you will have questions and we can sort of take the discussions in various different areas. So Wendy, you're sharing my screen now?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so this is the sort of the platform introductions just before Christmas, when we released the first version of code 22.1 beta, just before Christmas. It was our parting gift before we all took a little bit of a break to recharge our batteries. We made this video, about 15 minutes intro, that has 4 or 5 chapters. It's available on YouTube, it's available on our streams, it's available on Learn, it's on our website for the code documentation. So you could really go and asynchronously, we're not going to cover all of the things, or at least not all the same. So make sure that you go and watch it. It's only 15 minutes. It really goes to the 4 aspects of these things, the different chapters. Back to what is code, what is Kit. I think it's useful to sort of identify that straight away for everybody. Kit is the Omniverse SDK. It's the platform on which you build applications and tools and extensions. Those are the libraries and the tools, and it's all of the samples. It has a lot of other things from the RTX renderer, the physics. It's your big SDK that you use to start building things. Code is an application built on that SDK that is for you, for the developer. It is no different in some ways than Create is built for the creator, View is built for review and approval, you have Isaac Sims. Those are applications that takes the SDK, leverage the parts that they need the most, and then they shape them into an end user applications that will be tailor fit for a specific workflow. And so code is the same. It's a tailor-fit applications and set of applications. As you'll see as it evolves, it'll be a set of applications and tools and workflows that are built on top of Kit SDK, of course, and they're there for you as a developer to have a great onboarding experience, a fast build process, a fast iterative, profiling and then publishing process. And then of course it's built entirely on Kit, so it's great because you build where you run where you build. It's a very sort of meta type of things. So again, there's a small video there. I want to just go over a few, like back to the basis, right? Because Kit is only a part of the overall Omniverse platform. The Omniverse platform itself is very broad, solving the sort of simulating large-scale world, world-scale world in real time, using real physics, using real renderings, true to life, real materials. And so back to these different components that are not all Kit, but they are still critically important for you as a developer. And so I always go briefly over those just because as a developer, you should know about them. They're all tools that will also make you create very powerful Omniverse applications. With Omniverse, you have access to, and not, you don't have to, but you can have access to a Nucleus server, shared storage, distributed, and collaborative, with real-time update on the USD files. Very important to be able to build multi-user workflows and remote workflow between multiple applications. You of course have all the connectors, so you have access to the connector yourself as a developer, the one that already exists, because maybe your tool involves working between Maya, Create, and Houdini, and you can benefit from the connector that are already existing, and your tool can benefit on top of that. What Cohen said, we only build what you're bringing to the platform, not everything else. But you can also build connector. Part of the contribution as a developer could be build a great connector. There is this app that you really like, but it's not USD or it's not connected. And then you build the connectors and then it unlocks a bunch of workflows. So that's really great. There's the entire simulation tools, and under simulations, a broad ecosystem of tools that are benefiting from you in a developer sense. You have physics simulation tools. You have fluid simulations with flow, blast for destructions. You have all of the AI tool for audio to face, and also some of the new tools that we're going to share this quarter around animations and procedural animations. Really important body of work that, again, you can start composing together into what is your idea. And of course, we have the amazing RTX renderer that, in all moments of all complexity, will bring you this real-time, completely photoreal and immersive experience for rendering. And so as a developer, you have access to that, which is, a great lift from the body of work that you might have to work to do a 3D applications. And so those are the Omniverse part. But if you zoom out again, we're kind of, going from the spatial to the outline. Omniverse is built on top of NVIDIA, really. NVIDIA as a platform, and it's like 30 years of engineering and expertise and research in GPUs, and recently with our, partnering and acquisition on the networking with DPUs, and we announced, work on very specialized CPU for the data center. And then on top of these hardware perspective, and again, there's many different layers there already, all of the library of 3D in graphics, in compute, in AI, and tens of years in ray tracing and rasterizations, streaming with Cloud XR, the MDL material definitions, on the compute side, CUDA, it's been around for 15 years, something like that. It's a really dense library of compute things that are really hard to do that being made available. Physics, flow, blast, we talked a little bit about them. And then again, this nascent AI, which NVIDIA is investing and contributing and, really working with the community to make explode even more around all of the interesting things around, again, I'm not going to list them all, I've talked about them, but all of these things are foundation technology of NVIDIA, and Omniverse build on top of that, make it easily available, package it into the 3D world building and simulation platform, and then it makes it available to you as a developer to extend, not a closed platform, not something that is, sort of very proprietary and as bound, something that is very open, and for you as a developer, the same, the starting point, Omniverse wouldn't be possible without NVIDIA technology. And then your tool, you should think about them as they wouldn't be possible without Omniverse, but you still only have to build your tool, not all of Omniverse. We help you with that. And so if I go back to diving a little bit in sort of a detailed view as to how the stack look like for you as a developer, how do you can think about the world of what you want to build. You have many opportunity in that stack for you to contribute some R&D, and we are contributing constantly in all of these things as well. So even if you contribute parts, the parts that you're not contributing are still moving very, very, very fast. So for you as a developer, it's a very, very valuable investment. The lower level, at the lower level kit, the core of kit, we think about it like Python.exe. It's a very lightweight bootloader that has, mechanism to, run a bit of settings, find things on the past, and start loading these extensions. There is some lower level C++ library called Carbonite that is a little bit in our documentations. Through this first half of the year, we will also expose Carbonite API for you to be able to do really low level C++ pieces. But a lot of the opportunity of interactions are in higher levels. Some of these blue box represent very high-end advanced features, functionality, third-party, or effectively they're from NVIDIA libraries, but they're coming into the platform around graphics on multiple platforms for Windows and Linux, really strong GPU foundations for working with the drivers, the physics library, physics 5, and all of the associated physics simulation library, real physics, physics that people building onto. Of course, USD, both the USD library from Pixar, but all of the investment and ameliorations and advance and research that NVIDIA is putting into the library. And of course, we talked about RTX and then the MDL libraries and source that enable all the rendering. So this library comes inside the Kit SDK. They're built by loads of different teams, not necessarily the Kit team, but the overall Omniverse team contribute large contribution into this body of works. And those get surfaced into the platform inside Kit extension. Remember, we said inside Kit, everything is an extension. That's your opportunity as a developer to build something unique and that add a Lego pieces to the puzzle and build something even greater. The Omni UI library, we talked many times, which have our own UI library that is maturing every month more, and we can talk today about one new great feature of the Omni UI library around its new Scene API. The core UI is around rastering windows and doing multi-viewport and these type of things, capture, a little bit of lightweight streaming, and then microservices. Microservices are the core of the opportunity for disaggregated Omniverse applications, something that really important. Joseph is our lead engineer on that project, on that team, and he has made video and he's share with the world Omniverse Farm, and we continue to really invest largely on that platform. Of course, we talked about USD Hydra. They get surfaced into the platform through extensions. Then you have a body of work of the extensions that the Kit SDK build and maintains because they are like general useful utilities. Things around building graphs, around file, content browser is really a big file, really powerful file browser, exposition of physics, this extension manager that we'll see a little bit, that's the entry point to manage all of these extensions. Remember, there is like hundreds of them into the platform, many extensions around USD for the managing the stage and then managing the layers, and of course, ability to see the renderer in actions and manage it. And so those are coming into Kit SDK. Today, the line sometimes is a bit blurry because the packaging, the way it works, but effectively, this is a fundamental SDK. This is the platform on which everybody can build anything. Then we have shared extensions that are shared by all of the applications that NVIDIA is building for you, for the customers, for the individuals that want to test the Omniverse. They're higher level extensions, often almost entirely written in Python, and they are using the public SDK. So all of those are using exactly the same SDK and API that you have access to as an external developer to build your own extension. So any of those that I'm showing there, naming there, and I can show into the application later, is things that you could have built. You just need yourself good ideas, good Python skills, or even beginner Python skills for some of the simpler ones, and then get going. And those are things like material editor, the action graph that use some of the lower level Omni graph core, but is surfaced at the top level. Things like asset browser, painting tool. There's really beautiful painting tool in Create that there's loads of video on the launcher if you want to see them, and that has been almost entirely built as a Python extensions externally to the SDK. So using the same API. Really, I mention it because it's using the same API that you have access. There's no kind of closed magic that only NVIDIA can do. No, you can do exactly these things. So I think those are really important points. As you think about the platform, is all of these things you can do, and the opportunity is there. And of course, at the next level, you can also build applications. And actually, simple applications are actually not much more complicated than an extension, because you can reuse a lot of the core components. But all of the applications that NVIDIA has on the launcher, and those are not all of them, but most of the mostly known ones, they are built using that principle. They use the Kit SDK. They use a certain set of shared extensions that match the profile of the user they're trying to help and target and build workflow for, and they configure them into an experience that is tailor fit for that. And of course the newcomer into that stack that I didn't have when that slide was made is Code. Right? Code lives at that level of applications. It uses some of these share extensions. Of course, it uses the Kit SDK. Often we will ship the latest Kit SDK, even the one next version, inside Code early because it's for the developer experience. And services, microservices, large services really are built using a similar platform as an application. They're just a headless application that runs, distributed onto a cluster or onto your workstation on the LAN or on your laptop. And Omniverse Farm is such a services that was built using the Kit SDK extensions and is running headlessly onto your data center, your network, your two laptops. So those are really important kind of diagram to place. That's the opportunity space, right? You can build extensions, you can build applications, you can leverage hundreds of them that have been built before you to build your work. And then through these extensions, you get access to tens of years, hundreds of, maybe thousands, tens of thousands of man years of research into all of these fields of compute and graphics and AI. And we in the Omniverse and the Omniverse Kit group, we work really hard to make it simple for you to use. Use a powerful tool, but in a simple form, so you can achieve your ideas without having to understand necessarily all of the complexity of the technology that you have to leverage. Okay, so I think that's the pose for that first recap, introductions, review of the world of Omniverse. I'm sure that even if you've heard it before, you can sort of think about it in new ways.
So I have a question. You mentioned over 30 years of engineering, research, and technical development work built into Kit SDK. So how much does it cost?
So as an individual, OVI is free. You go on the launcher, you download it. It's easy. There's Omniverse. You find it very easily. You download the launcher. The launcher is a platform. Actually, I have it here. The launcher is a platform that will enable you to see the news from NVIDIA, and you can see the latest announcement and things like that. You can access a library of applications that you have installed on your systems. You can go in the exchange. I won't click here because there's a lot of unannounced products for my version, but in the exchange, you can, you tricked me. You're not, I'm not, so I'm careful. And so in the exchange, you will find applications that are available, and there are plenty of them, the one that we've discussed, Kaolin, Kit Remote, Create Code, and then you just download them from there, and then they will appear into your library, and then from there, you'll be able to launch them. You can install the Nucleus server, again, from an OVI individual. It's free, just download it and use it. And then you can learn. Learn will give you access to hundreds of video about Omniverse, tutorial, the documentations curated by the team here. And there is really a lot of content, forever growing. And so you can really deep dive and watch that instead of just TikTok. You'll learn something really interesting. You can relax a little bit on TikTok, but there's plenty to learn that might inspire your creativity and your passion to build something yourself. And then join us on building the Omniverse. So that's really how you get access to it. This is for individual. Individual doesn't mean that you can't use it professionally. Actually, it means you can use it for yourself as a single user. And even if you were to use it professionally to build services or contents or even apps, then that's still free. That's that we want everybody to be able to access Omniverse and use it. And so what's great is, if you download a code and you build something, and then you want to share it with all of your friends that also can access OVI for free, you can just send them your tool. They don't, you could even sell it, your tool to them, because they're OVI users, they have a license. You figure out the price of your applications, of your tool, if you want to distribute for free, open source, or if you want to sell it for a price because you're trying to make a living out of that new passion. So that's really great. After, there is a next category of Omniverse license for enterprise. Enterprise customer, they don't necessarily want something that is free or cheap. They want something that is awesome. They want the support, they want the services, they want to be able to reach out to our professional teams and get access to very tailored, fine-tuned solutions and help. And so they have different licenses. And if you're an enterprise customer, there is plenty of other people that you can talk to the team that will share with you. But the starting price for an enterprise, considering the value, is still very low, right? But it's a very enterprise need, like a slightly bigger team. 5, 10, 100 people you want to build on top of Omniverse. You've seen the future with us, and then there are enterprise price. But you just start as an OVI. You're an individual. You learn it. You build something. You make it great, and then you take it from there.
That's great. We have a couple of good questions. That was great. You covered that, though. So thanks, Wendy, for bringing that up. So I'm sorry about the echo in this room. Hopefully it's a little bit better now, but it'll be better next week. Okay, so someone's asking, so the code application is maybe an equivalent to C# development inside of Unity in terms of executing code on 3D objects. Is that accurate to say?
Yeah, I think there is definitely similarity, and so that's a good point. And I think I'll show code. I'll leap into that to share. the premise of code is back to you have an SDK. So if you think about Unity or Unreal, like it's Unity SDK or Unreal Engine, they have a set of libraries and tools. And this was available, right? And we had it with Kit effectively, but it's sort of like from there, what do you start? How do you have the tools? Code is more like is a sort of a fully integrated IDD environment, and the first version that we ship is resemble a little bit like Create or Vue, because those are the place we started. Right? We started to kind of branch out from the base line that people were familiar with, and then we went for the first experience. Right? You want to discover Omniverse application from a developer perspective. So we placed ourselves into what does an Omniverse application look like, and look like Create or Vue from an end user perspective. So we wanted code to be able to have a version of its experience that reflects that. But it's who's the user of code? It's a developer. And so they're less interested about browsing for assets or painting trees, because those are already made extensions. If they want to do that, they should use Create. They're interested into developing things. And so the first version of code was very focused around you as a new user, because you have many of the users that are going to develop for the Omniverse are new for the time being. They're a growing community, but many more are to come than the one that have already arrived. Was to focus on enabling you as a developer to discover the SDK, the practice of building extensions, making tutorial on onboarding you, but then, of course, it's a little bit similar to these environments, these IDE. It's a blend between game engine IDE, where you have a game engine and you can do, a little bit of your coding, and then something like VS Code or Visual Studio. It has a little bit of these two flavor. We actually work very closely as a live link on Visual Studio, and we show it in our video, and I might show it here live for the pure text editing. But you can, of course, if you're a PyCharm lover, or you like VI and you just don't know why people need all these buttons, you can absolutely code in VI or PyCharm and leverage some of the live editing workflow of the runtime inside code or even Create when you end up testing your product into the target applications. You can test your extensions that you're building, of course, in Create and fine tune the development there. That's also perfectly fine.
Can I mention something there? Like Damien says that it started sort of as a branch from Create, and we're exploring and seeing what are the areas that are more relevant for developers. And over time, I think you'll see the focus shift towards more developer-focused goals. But because it's this whole platform, all the Lego blocks are always still available. We might just put them in different pieces depending on the task you're in, and like even with VS Code, and because everything connects, you can run it to test it in Create, or like we'll build tools here that you need for a developer and expose it at the front, so you can dive in.
Another user is asking, are there any plans to increase the use of nodes, for example, with a wider range of nodes?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's a great question. So that's great. I love when you guys ask questions. Please continue. This way you make that session interactive. Instead of a linear flow, it's a very sort of meta flow of things. So yes, nodes are actually, there's two levels of nodes inside Omniverse. First, there is the node-based workflow in general. Right? And then we, many of us have long-term experience in graphic software that is very node-based and graph of evaluation. And so in Omniverse SDK, as a fundamental, a sort of UI paradigm, we have a node editor, a node UI layer, and in code we really invested for code. I would say we really invested a lot into building the sample around showing you this SDK and building a really advanced example that you can really use to start your own node-based workflow. And that was something that was already used for the material editor. For example, Create since almost a year ago as a great material editor that was built on the UI front end that Omniverse Kit provide. In the extension manager, before I show that sample, I'll show you some of the older sort of aspects. In the extension managers, for a long time, we've leveraged the node-based workflow with these custom nodes that shows you extensions and their dependency, and their custom preview where they show you some of the internal of these nodes. And so you're able to see from an extension perspective, this great graph of dependency. We talked about you building blocks that are contributing. These extensions is probably a few hundred lines of code. Victor, a principal engineer for the UIs, wrote it. It's few hundred lines of code, maybe 200-300 lines of Python. So it doesn't think, so what can you do that is really great in 300 lines of Python? Well, as soon as you start pulling, tens of extensions that have maybe thousands of lines each, then your contributions become, standing on the shoulder of giants. And in a few lines of code with a good idea, you can make something that is really great. So USD edit is a way where you can, really open directly USD file in a text editor and edit them in a live mode, which is really, really powerful. So again, this is a node widget that was backed by the extension dependency, and for which Anton wrote the front end, wrote a special, what we call delegates. They're like, you think about them as shader for your nodes. They're not, written in shading language, but they're writing using this Omni UI language. But you can customize them fully to represent what the node is for you, right? Node graphs can represent evaluations, they can represent shading, they can represent, like here, dependency, they can represent a lot of different things. So in code, in the SDK for a long time, but in code, we really doubled down and invested a lot in building that really great sample. Actually, we'll take a few minutes to discuss that, because, if as a developer, you think, what are the great open platform that I can freely build from, where I can build a really, truly beautiful graph entirely in Python that is very effective. There's not many. Building a graph, a small graph that is not very pretty, is actually easy, rapid. Most people have done that in the past because it's a fun task. But building a very efficient one, beautifully designed, that has a lot of flexibility and resiliency, it's a lot of work. And then you haven't even started your project, because that's not what was your idea. So you don't want to write yet another graph system. You wanted to write something that needed a graph. So Omniverse, Kit SDK, and in code we make it, very obvious, brings you a really, really great UI platform. And like, I'm probably biased, but I've loved graph for a very long time, and this is really came out really nice. So this is the graph editor sample. I'll just show here. In the example, again, this great extension manager. I'm not going to go over to it too much, but here's the graph editor sample. The example itself is, it's still big, but it's not massive. It's that node, right? This is only that node that is the one that we're talking about today. It relies on a lot of really useful things. It uses these modern delegates. Those are the shaders that you can use. So there's few looks, and we'll see a little bit how this functions. It has the graph editor core that leverage a lot of the functionality that is just the same in every graph. Why would you want to rewrite it? It has, a search field because there's node catalog. There's stuff around file picker and quick search. Again, all of this technology comes inside that simple example. And I'll show it in action before I show you a couple of the code entry points. And I'll try not to go too deep into the rabbit hole, because we might do an entire section on the graph. It's really awesome. But I'm just going to open a graph that we share, some of the graphs that are made. We just serialize them as JSON, but there is some more talk about the graph. This is the UI layer of the graph, right? So the backend layer, what does it do? What does it represent? Is it an animation graph? Is it an execution graph of some kind? Is it some ideas about dispatching work on a runner farm? This is really your program, right? You have a node-based representations of things. This is your application. This is completely pluggable, and there's a really easy way to map this data towards your ideas. I'll show the code very briefly. We take care of all of the front end for you, building all of these really high performance node drawing, having multiple nodes where when you're far, the nodes look big and you can start understanding what they do. As you zoom in, you've got these great visual representation of those nodes. Those nodes support, collapsing groups. They support multiple node states. Depending on how you want to do them. They have these backdrops where you can move things. You obviously have this large catalog. Here, the catalog is, again, that's the catalog of node that you've decided. Here we just show a set of example and ideas just so we can build that sample. And then of course you can drag your node and start adding them, and then you can wire them together, and then you have a lot of utility around these things in order to build that visualizations. And so this entire samples is made available to you to develop. There is actually a great inline documentation in code. So, we'll go over, I'll stop in a few minutes there, but great documentation around all of the concept of the code. We discussed about this graph view model pattern where, you have a graph model, that's the adapter to your backend. You have these delegates, which you can use ours, but you can write your own distinct look. You've seen it with the extension manager that use its own delegate. This is its own sort of look for these things because they make sense. And then the documentation is beautifully written. It's written in MD format, but it's actually rastered using Omni Ui, and so it's really interactive. And so that's great. Again, all of these projects entirely built in Python. So some of these examples just show how to describe simply the node, what to describe in a simple model. Again, the time here doesn't allow us to go into all these details, but let us know, right? If you think this is great, we should have an entire live stream on nodes, or you should make a 1-hour video on how to build and manage this. Let us know. There's a lot of resources, but if you want to see more, you ask us. We'll be really happy to share.
We have another question here that I think you would like to answer. Omniverse does many things. I'm interested in simulation AI. If I were to play around with reinforcement learning experiment in some high-level language, could I use the code tool to visualize results and create animations?
Yeah, sure. We, again, we mentioned a little bit animation and AI in the simulation platform. The animation and AI engineer of Omniverse, they're all using Kit SDK. That's how they build their animation tool. You could imagine that you have a higher level language that describes animation states and different blending mode. You have some AI that try to blend a couple of models and build some tensors kind of flow. You could use this to help you having, a sort of all of the tools to interact with your idea. Think about Kit SDK as a great toolkit of things that are enabling you to either build your idea, visualize your ideas, connect your ideas with ready-made renderer, connect your ideas with collaborations, because you have ready-made services that enable you to very easily do a live link kind of tool that will connect two users of a graph together, even if they work from home in two different continents. And so those are the opportunities, right? All of these pieces are modules that you can start connecting together. Think about the 10,000 Lego blocks set, and then build whatever you want with it, and all the way to bring your own blocks, as long as they follow some of the patterns that are well connected with the others. More question in mind? Otherwise, I've got some free floating topics.
Vince, I got to shout out to Vince Brisebois, who's handling a lot of the chat questions. So thank you, Vince. I'm trying to see if there's anything he missed that we can cover here. I would say continue on, and I will.
Okay. So I'll talk on another topic again. I think what's good with Code, the release that we did in December, and the release that we're doing, we're exposing early new technology. We're trying to focus on the technology from a point of view of the developer, right? The graph system, this one that you see, is been available for almost a year. That's the one that we used into the material editor. That's the one that we use in OmniGraph. And so the technology has been there. When we built that sample, the sample that you see here, we didn't write a lot of new API. We just surfaced those API in a really sort of focused way, because we felt not enough people know about it. Otherwise, more people would use it. That's our fearful belief. And so this is a great place. Another thing that we've been really working hard over the last 6 months, and that's surfacing into this first version. A lot of people requested, you have these viewports, and then you want to be able to build tools that manipulate these 3D worlds, right? So you can play, you see, you want to move things around, you want to select tool, you want to be able to move them around in different ways, and have this interacting with different things. And so in the past, our manipulator system was a little bit C++, a bit complicated to use maybe for newcomers. Maybe not all the APIs were available to the outside world. So in the spirit of what we do for Omniverse extensions in general and Omniverse UI wholesale, we've rebuilt the manipulator and scene overlay API entirely in Omni UI. It's backed by C++, and backend it does really advanced graphics and rendering, so it's really, really fast. But for you as a developer, it's entirely written in Python. And then we constantly, when we design those API, it is about making them, accessible, making them easy to understand, one line, do a lot of the complex things that are very generic for you, and not expose them unnecessarily. So the work feels very simple and declarative. So again, we share for the first time this new Omni UI API called Scene. I call it effectively a Scene 3D API that enables you to do manipulator, these 3D elements, items in the world. They can be rastered and you can see many of them, but you can also interact with them. They have gesture, and I'll show briefly there. But this it comes into that new documentations that is interactive. So here is the code that creates that object, right? So it creates this new Omni UI element called the scene view. Scene view is that sort of view in the 3D world. Couple of property about its size, and then inside the scene of that view, think about like a mini scene graph. We're creating two lines, one red and one green, this one and this one, and then an arc. Which has a full 360 by default, so it's a circle in that case, with and again constantly compatible with all of our CCS style colors. So here you see CL documentation NVIDIA, and this render that object. So now you're able to do sort of 2D shapes. So you might think, okay, well, why do I want those? So of course, then you want to be able to do line, rectangles, shapes, arcs. You want to be able to draw images. You want to be able to transform them and draw points. To be able to do manipulators. You can also draw polygon mesh. They're not shaded, so it's just to do abstract concave and convex shapes. You can of course do text of some kinds in those into those labels. You can transform them. I'll just show a couple of the gesture. So these shapes that you can create, and here are some details, they are interactive. So when you build them into the viewport, those lines, they are not just lines of 2D, they actually have gesture. So this shape here, and notice how this entire documentation is entirely interactive. As a draggable feature, again, the code's very simple, and there is a lambda functions, this move that will get the transform object and the shapes. And there's a couple of payload value that you can get for how much does the gesture impacted. A lot of the Omni UI had taken a lot of cues from modern UI language like Swift UI, and that's very declarative, form like a modern way of what HTML was doing with less sort of syntax, but just a little bit more explicit clarity, and then leveraging a lot of the lambda and functions and closure that the modern language enable you to do. So here same, we create one of these scene view. We say we want a transform object. On that transform, we want to create a line, and then on that line we attach a gesture, this drag gesture. So when I drag it, now I'm able to transform the parents and move it, so I could create some of these interactive workflows. Here you see again, you can interchange the color. There's a bunch of more detail here. I just want to show, of course, this is not a 2D UI, it's a 3D UI. So all of these lines and shapes and polygons, they're in the 3D world, and you can manipulate the matrix of the object with the matrix of projections. It is not to do ray tracing, right? It is to do high-end, rapid, non-lit 2D UIs or 3D in the 3D world UIs that you can interact with. So with this type of things, you would do things like a manipulator, right? So you know of 3D manipulator. So here we show the 2D manipulator, but there's a 3D version that is created that enable you to have things where you can select object, and then you can move them, grabbing those manipulator on those drags or on a rectangle, and then you have this drag gesture. there is a lot of example. There is some really great example in that documentation, including extension that shows you how to build it. That's a really great new API. And internally, since we shipped it, we have seen many teams moving away from what they were doing before into these new APIs, and with great effect. And so we think that that's going to really help people build interesting 3D workflows on their scenes. Great. So that was another topic. Edmar, does that lead to some questions? Do we have some?
Vince has been a trooper, so he's handling a lot of it. But here's a good one, probably.
Thanks, Vince.
Yes, thank you. Using a simple shot of a scene is not so simple. A lot of concepts not necessarily unique to Omniverse to integrate. Do you think that Replicator will simplify the things as when we look at what is already done in Isaac? I'm not sure if that's context.
So yeah, of course. I think it, the question is really around, building synthetic data generation tools complicated, for sure. Like without the right tooling, without the right API, without the right scaffolding, it is difficult. And so if you're an AI engineer or if you're a data scientist, you need to generate a lot of content for your experiment. The tools that are currently out there could be quite daunting, because it's just so much to learn. You really just want the picture. So with the work with Replicator and what was announced at GTC and Jensen shared, and we're going to share actually a lot more in the next coming months, is for us to build on top of Kit SDK, or to build or to share, because we've obviously been building them for a long time and use them ourselves into our Drive Simulator and Isaac Sim and all the AI that we train, is to start sharing all of these building blocks, right? We talk about building blocks in Omniverse Kit all the time. Everything is a building block. Internally, we build everything as an extension. So if I go back to that slide that I shared, Replicator, the application Replicator, if we just ship it like that, it will be an application at that level. But really, Replicator is a set of 10 or 15 core shared extensions that are around, domain randomizations, AOVs, rendering things on multiple camera views, doing things with different types of camera lengths. And then all of these tooling is made into extensions. And so, of course, then suddenly you can use them to compose them into your own applications. We expect that Replicator, for some, could be an application, and they might say, Replicator does these things, this is all I needed, now I can just put a bunch of models into a folder, ask him to render me turntable, and I'm trying to do some nerf training. Great. If that's for use case, I think that will be perfectly great. But many will say, no, I just want to build some really kind of custom time of experiments where I do this 4D rendering between times and 3D cameras or many cameras. And then you can start using the tool that exists and your own extension. As a developer, you can start thinking about your 4D image set. And then you can use your Replicator plus your work to render all of these great images, and then you can feed them into your model or your training data. And so that's really where that the value will just come through, because you can make Replicator your own, right? All of these applications, as a developer or as an individual, you can make them your own through the power of Kit.
That's awesome. Very cool. I'm wondering, so I'm looking at the clock now. We're approaching about an hour. So Damien, I don't know if there's anything important you want to go over, or else you want to kind of recap where people go to kind of take the next steps and start to dive in.
I think generally, I think we're going to wrap it up there. The call for action is, OVI. It's free. It's available. Just download it. Look at the launcher. Install some of the apps. Test them. Try them. There's really nothing there that you can risk about learning something. There's a lot of videos. Maybe learning an app is a bit daunting. Maybe you're not quite sure where to start. Go on the Learn tabs. There's a video to watch. Just get some popcorn, relax. You can watch them at 1.5 if you really want to watch as many as possible in a short amount of time. There's so many resources now to get started. Is really great. Reach out to us on the forum. Reach out to us on Discord. We'll do some of these live streams once a month at least. And so, bring your own topic, say, these graph things looks great. Let's do one live stream just on graph. I'll be really happy to do that. It'll be fun. I'm sure we can all, kind of crack up some great graphs at the result of a live stream like that. Just tell us, right? It's we're building many different things in many different directions. Some of them that we don't have time to talk about always. And so we're looking forward to hear from you. What would be a good use of your hours when you spend it with us?
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Well,
okay, great.
Thank you, Damien. Thank you, Anton. Thank you, Cohen. I'm so excited about this app. I'm not a programmer, and I was able to build my first extension. It said "Hello World." That's about it. It's easy, guys.
That's where we all started.
Yep.
Actually, that's a great reminder too. So we started this Omniverse gallery page, so people can share their stuff that we're doing in Omniverse. So we want everybody to submit their stuff that they want the world to see, including if you would like us to promote it, put Made in Omniverse, the hashtag on your social media, but definitely submit it to the gallery so we can kind of share that. We love seeing what people are doing. We might even reach out to you to kind of talk more about what you're doing, and you're always free to reach out to us also if you're interested in doing a tutorial or you want to work on a blog post about a new workflow. We would love to talk to you if you're interested in something like that. So Damien is not lying too. He is on Discord. I get in trouble sometimes for inviting some of our devs on Discord, but Damien is very active participant. So you can go there. I would say general rule of thumb is if you're having like a bug or a problem, go to the forums. Wendy has a great system there for tracking stuff. On Discord, we don't have that kind of system. So it's more kind of conversational. But still, there's a lot of good information. So come on to Discord and the forums for support. And Damien also referenced the Learn tab. So Vince, who's been helping us with the chat, he has been spearheading a major overhaul of the Learn tab, which just looks fantastic in the way it's organized now. So you can find out information on any app or tool or workflow kind of that we have right now is easily accessible there. So check that out. It's very easily categorized by what you're most interested in. So thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Wendy. Thank you, team, for coming on. We had a lot of people in the chat actually say how valuable this was, and that someone said, Damien, you're on fire. So you might want to have a nice cool glass of water. So thank you, everybody. We'll look forward to seeing you next.